Hey there, scholars. Happy Monday. I wanted to do a quick mini lesson with you for writing workshop today because we are choosing our um, our favorite article that we have been working on in the past week. So before we do that, I want to teach you something really quickly. Today, I want to teach you. There we go. I want to teach you that journalists get to the point early on in their articles, in their informational writing pieces. They use an inverted pyramid structure to dramatically revise their writing. So, in informational writing, the most newsworthy information is at the very beginning of their writing. So the most important information, the who, what, when, where, why, the five W's we discussed last week, that's the most important information. And that comes at the very beginning. This is very different from narrative writing, where we kind of save like the big surprise or great ending for the very end of the story. But in informational writing, journalists want to reveal the most important information at the start. And then in the middle of the article, some other important details that are important to the event. And then to end is usually just some other general information that applies to the event, but aren't quite as important or newsworthy to the article. So I want to kind of go through the steps with you of what you'll be working on today. So we have a few options that you can choose from. You can choose to move forward with the article we flash drafted last week on the bird flying in the classroom. You could also make the decision to work on the article where Mrs. Legrippo barged into our classroom and stole our prize box. Or the third choice is when we were doing our inquiry walk around the school building, any newsworthy events that happened. And then lastly, based on the video we watched last Thursday, I believe it was, or Friday, yeah, Friday, when we were watching the video on the homeless man and how he was showing kindness and generosity with another civilian. So I decided to move forward with my article on Mrs. Legrippo when she barged into our classroom. So that's the article I think I could do my absolute best writing with. So I want to revisit that in my notebook. So you guys are going to need your notebooks when you begin this work. Just kind of pan through and see which article do you think you could write the most best writing on. And after you do that, I want you to quickly revisit and read what you had written when we flash drafted that day. So I want to show you what mine looked like. Okay, so mine says, on Wednesday, Mrs. Legrippo didn't say hello to Mrs. Bowers or her students. She was looking for something. At a school in Troy, New York, students were getting ready for writing workshop. A theft occurred in classroom 24 at Carroll Hill School. It was 10:30 a.m. when Mrs. Legrippo barged into Mrs. Bowers' 5th grade classroom. The students were outraged when Mrs. Legrippo stole their prize box without reason. So this is what I had written last week, and I want to think about this inverted pyramid structure I just talked to you about, and I really want to check my work and ask myself, did I put the most newsworthy information at the start of my article? And if I did not, I'm going to want to revise and fix that while I am rewriting this article. So I'm going to think, do I have my who, what, when, where, why at the very beginning of my article? Let's check it out. So on Wednesday, so that gives me a when. Mrs. Legrippo didn't say hello to Mrs. Bowers or her students. Okay, so there's some who there. She was looking for something. Okay. Now, This article really is mostly about how Mrs. Grippo stole our prize box, but I don't see that at the beginning of my article. That's at the middle to the end of my article. So I want to have the most important information at the beginning of my article. And then I'm going to get into some other important information and then just general information at the end. So if this article is about Mrs. Agrippo stealing from us, then that's the most newsworthy information. That's the most important thing of this article that I want my readers to know right out of the gate. So when I rewrote my article, it started by saying a theft occurred in classroom 24 at Carroll Hill School. Ah, there we go. Theft. That's the most important newsworthy information, and I stated that first. And then I went into the when, who, and where. It was at 10:30 a.m. when Mrs. LaGrippo barged into Mrs. Bauer's 5th grade classroom. So notice right there at the very beginning, I have the most important information that there was a theft, where it occurred. It happened in classroom 24 at Carroll Hill at 10:30, and the who. It involved Mrs. LaGrippo and Mrs. Bauer's 5th grade class. That's the most important information. So I put that at the very beginning of my article. And then I continued on with the rest of my article saying, at a school in Troy, New York, students were getting ready for writing workshop. On Wednesday, Mrs. LaGrippo didn't say hello to Mrs. Bowers or her students. Notice how I'm including that more so in the middle of my article, opposed to in my first draft where I said that at the very beginning. So, yeah, that's an important detail that she just walked in and didn't say hello to us, but it's not the most important part of my article. She was looking for something. The students were outraged when Mrs. LaGrippo stole their prize box without reason. Now my article's not done yet, so I didn't get a chance to write my ending, but I wanted you to just to check out how I started my article, how the most important information is coming first in regards to my inverted pyramid structure. Okay. So before you begin writing, I want you to do one thing for me. I want you to do a quick turn and talk with the people around you. And I want you to talk about which article do you think you could write long and strong about? And B, how are you going to revise it so that your article matches this structure? After you do your turn and talk, everybody needs a loose leaf sheet of paper, and I need you guys to write long and strong so that we can work on revising for the rest of the week. All right, guys, good luck. Can't wait to see these articles tomorrow. Bye.